Hi there, I'm Cath. Welcome to my channel made by Cath Craft. Thank you so much for joining me today. On my channel I love to talk about all things sewing related, and today's vlog is one of my 5 favourites vlogs, and I've done a series of these vlogs where I talk about 5 favourite sewing patterns, and I'll put links down to the vlogs I've done so far. I've done one about woven dresses, about patterns for summer, all sorts, but today's vlog is about sewing patterns with ruffles, and I'm going to talk about 5 of my favourite sewing patterns with ruffles. And I really love ruffles actually. Before I started sewing, I would never have really thought about wearing a garment with ruffles. It wasn't really my style, I guess. But in recent years, I know ruffles have been really big on the high street. And I think as I've started sewing, I've started exploring my style a bit more and wanting to try new things. And nowadays, I really love a ruffle. So I've got 5 patterns to show you that have ruffles in different places. There's woven patterns and stretch patterns, more out there ruffles and slightly more subtle ruffles. And I'm really looking forward to sharing my 5 patterns. Before I start talking about my 5 favourite ruffly sewing patterns, I thought I'd share with you what I'm wearing today. And it's quite a warm day here in the south of England, so I've got quite a summery outfit on, and I've got a me-made top and me-made bottoms. And my top I made using this pattern here, which is the Stevie tunic by Tilly and the Buttons. And you can see the pattern envelope's a little bit battered, needs a bit of repair, because I've used this one quite a lot. But it's a really lovely straightforward pattern for woven fabrics, and you can make a tunic or a top, and I'll show you the line drawings. So it's quite a straight shaped tunic or top with grown on sleeves, and you can add little cuffs, and then it's got a yoke at the back and it's fastened either by tie, or you can add a little rouleau loop and a button on the back. So it's quite a simple make, and it's really nice to wear because it's quite relaxed. It's got a relaxed fit, it's not too fitted. And I've made mine in this art gallery rayon, which is really cool and breezy, and I like how it's kind of like nice and lightweight to wear for a hot day, but also covers up my shoulders nicely from the sun. So that's my top, the tunic, the Tilly and the Buttons Stevie tunic top. Yeah, really nice straightforward sew for woven fabrics. And today I've teamed my Tilly and the Buttons Stevie top with a pair of shorts, and I made the shorts using this pattern here. And it is the Chi-Town Chinos pattern by Alina Design Co. And it's hard for me to stand up and show the shorts, so I'll put a picture up here so you can see how they look. It's a really nice pattern. It's a shorts and skirt pattern, and it's a mid-rise, and it's got some really nice details. It's got a fly fronted zip and slash pockets, and at the back there are options to put a couple of different pocket shapes on. So it's a pattern with a few different variations, so you get quite a lot of different options in this one. But it's a really nice pattern. I wanted a fairly relaxed pair of sort of mid-rise type shorts, and when I was looking, this pattern really fit the bill. And the instructions are really clear and really hold your hand through the process of inserting the fly front zipper and adding the slash pocket. So I really recommend it as a kind of, sort of nice, simple, straightforward pair of shorts. And I've added a little turn up on mine, because I had a pair of ready to wear shorts I loved that had a little turn up. I like that detail. So yeah, mine have got a little turn up added. So I lengthened them slightly and turned them up. And I made my pair in some navy linen fabrics. They're really nice and comfy, and really nice and relaxed and breathable to wear over summer. But that's what I'm wearing today. Now let me move on to sharing with you my 5 favourite sewing patterns with ruffles. So I mentioned before that I've chosen a mixture of patterns, some that have a little bit more out there ruffles and others that are a little bit more subtle. And my first pattern is definitely one to choose if you want to make a bit of a statement with ruffles. And it's a really, really fun pattern, and it's this one here. It is the Nina Lee Bakerloo blouse and dress. So it's been a really popular pattern, I think, because it's such a fun one and you can have loads of fun, playing with the different details. But it's a blouse and dress pattern, and they both have this big statement collar with a ruffle around the edge. They've got balloon sleeves and then another little ruffle at the end of the sleeves, and you can make either a full length sleeve or a elbow length sleeve. And then it's either a sort of fairly straight fitting blouse or you can turn it into a dress with a gathered skirt. So both really lovely options, and you can have lots of fun, I think, playing with the different coloured trim around the ruffle here, and different fabrics. And I've seen loads of lovely versions of this one. It's designed for woven fabrics, light to medium weight. They have enough body to kind of hold the shape of the collar, but also not too much body that you couldn't gather them into the little ruffle around the edge. And I'll show you my versions and show you what fabrics I've used in a moment. And it's available in 2 size ranges, and there's a size 6 to 20 and also a size 16 to 28. So yeah, really inclusive size range, which is great for this pattern too. It is an intermediate sewing pattern. I think 'cause there are some quite fiddly details, particularly gathering the ruffle around the collar and then sewing it together. That can be quite fiddly. And also the inside of the neckline is bias bound, which is a lovely detail, but it was quite fiddly to put together. But let me show you my versions. So I've made both the blouse and the dress version of this pattern, and the first one I made was the blouse, And here's my version, and I made it in this beautiful Liberty Tana lawn fabric, and I'll put down in the description below all the details of where I got my fabrics from in case you're interested. But yeah, this is a beautiful Liberty Tana lawn fabric, and yes, this is the blouse version, and then I chose to make a little detail of the collar by doing it in navy blue. And I used a kind of another cotton lawn of a similar weight to the fabric of the blouse to make the little collar thing. So it goes all the way around the back, and then you can see there's a little button there with a really low loop, which is quite fun to do and adds a quite pretty little detail. And then it's got little ruffles on the sleeves too. So I did make a couple of adjustments to this pattern. I love the statement collar with a ruffle, but I felt on me the balloon sleeve as well would be too much. So I decided to slim the sleeve down, so the sleeve isn't such a full sleeve anymore. I'll put a picture up for me wearing it so you can see how it looks on. It's such a fun one to wear. Yeah, I really love it, and it was really fun to sew too, if a little bit fiddly in places. In terms of sizing, I made a size 6 on the bust, and then I graded out to a size 8 on the waist, because I do find with Nina Lee patterns, they do come up quite true to size and on the fitted end of the scale, and I didn't want to make this too tight. And then I made a couple of adjustments. I lengthened the sleeves slightly, and I also dipped the armhole slightly, because I found I made a toile just of the top to see how it would look with my slimmed down sleeve and another fabric to make sure that looked okay. And I found it was quite tight fitting under my arm, so I just dipped down here a little bit just to give me a little bit more space around the armhole. So those are 2 adjustments I made to this pattern. But it's a really lovely fun one, and definitely one I wear when I'm feeling in a fun mood and I want to make a bit of a statement. So my next version of the Bakerloo pattern I made is the dress version, and I chose quite a different fabric for this one. I'll show you it. And here it is. I made it in this really lovely baby cord fabric, so it's a really lightweight soft needle cord in this royal blue colour, which I got from Minerva. And then for this one I thought I'd have a bit of fun with the trim, and I chose this sort of broderie anglais trim to go around the collar for the ruffle, which I really like, and it goes all the way around the back, and then you can see again there's little buttons sort of hiding under here somewhere. So yeah, I had a bit of fun with that one with the trim, because I thought with the blue fabric it would contrast really nicely. And it's got the sleeve ruffle too. And for this one again, I made the slimmer arm version and kept my adjustment with a sort of lower armhole. And I also, on this one for me, I lengthened the bodice just slightly, I think by an inch or so, because when I had a little check of it, it looked like it was going to come up a bit high on me. And then I shortened the skirt slightly, and I added these waist ties to cinch the waist in as well. So I'll put up a picture of me wearing this version. I really love it. I think it's a lot of fun to wear. I love how the white really shows off the statement ruffle. And that's the Bakerloo pattern by Nina Lee. My first ruffly pattern, one that really is a statement ruffle pattern. My next favourite sewing pattern with ruffles is, I would say, a bit more of a subtle one, if you wanted to have a ruffle but not make such a statement as the Bakerloo blouse and dress. And it's this pattern here, and it is the Sagebrush top by Friday Pattern Company. And it's a really lovely woven blouse pattern, and I'll show you the line drawings. The ruffle here is across the front chest here, and then it's got a little bias bound neckline with visible bias binding, which is really pretty and fun to apply. And it's got balloon sleeves here and with elasticated cuff, and I guess you could always add an extra little ruffle on the cuff here if you wanted to make it more ruffly, similar to the Bakerloo blouse ruffle. And it's quite a relaxed fit woven top. It's not designed to be tight fitting by any means. And I think it's one that you can make more of a statement with the ruffle or more of a subtle ruffle, depending on what fabric you've chosen. And I've seen some lovely versions on Instagram where people have chosen a contrast fabric for the ruffle, a bit like I've done with my Bakerloo blouse, to showcase it more. But equally, if you choose more busy fabric, I think it would be a bit more subtle, because it would kind of be hidden a little bit by the busyness of the fabric. But it's a really lovely pattern. It's a beginner pattern, and the instructions are really great. It's a really fun one to sew. And it's got really inclusive size range too. It goes from extra small to 7X. And the sizes are extra small is bust 32, waist 24, hips 34, up to 7X, which is bust 60, waist 53, hips 63. So it's a really inclusive size range on this pattern. And yeah, as I said, the instructions are really straightforward. And let me show you my versions. So the first version I made is this one here, and I made it in this double gauze fabric. And I think because the double gauze has a bit of body, the ruffle is really quite noticeable, and I've also, the puff sleeves are a bit more structured and a bit more noticeable too. Yes, I made it in this lovely double gauze with sort of white with these little feathers on, which I think is really pretty, and you can see the bias binding detail there around the front. It's really nice. It goes around the back too. And I made this in the smallest size, the size extra small. And that is slightly smaller than my measurements. My measurements are bust 32, waist 26, hips 36. and the size extra small fits my bust measurement, but my waist and hips are slightly larger. But there's plenty of room in this pattern, you can see from the finished garment measurements, so I decided not to grade, and actually there's plenty of room for me there, I think, because it's designed to be a little bit oversized. That's my first version, and I'll show you a picture of me wearing it up here. As I said, the double gauze does make it a little bit more structured, a bit more body to it. I did actually make one adjustment, which is to actually reduce a bit of the volume from the sleeves, because I thought it might be too much for my frame to have really voluminous sleeves, particularly with this more sort of voluminous fabric. So yeah, mine's got a little bit less volume I took out of the sleeves, just by taking a little strip out the middle of the pattern piece on the sleeves. And I really like how it's turned out, and I have a lot of fun when I'm wearing this one. And I'll show you my second version, where I think the ruffle is a bit more subtle. And it's this version here. And this is made using a really drapey rayon fabric that I got from System Tarka. It's a Cloud 9 rayon. It's really lovely actually, it's super soft and floaty. And as you can see here, the ruffle's there, but it's a little bit more subtle in this fabric. And generally this is a little bit more of a subtle top, because the rayon's less more drapey. It doesn't really have such a voluminous sleeve, and it just hangs on me a little bit more subtly. So I'll put a picture up of me wearing that one too, and I made the same size extra small for this one. But it's a really fun sew, great for beginners, yeah, perfect for fun woven fabrics. I think you can have a lot of fun with your choice on this one. And that is my second favourite sewing pattern with ruffles, the Friday Pattern Company Sagebrush top. So my next favourite sewing pattern with ruffles is one that's designed for stretch fabrics. And it's a bit of a favourite of mine. I've made a few versions of this one, I really like it. And it's this pattern here. It is the Papercut Patterns Solar Sweater and Tee. And it used to be called the Kyoto Sweater and Tee. I've got the old pattern here, but they've recently rebranded to the Solar Sweater and Tee. But I'll show you the line drawings. So yeah, you can make a sweater and tee. It's a dropped shoulder and fairly relaxed boxy fit. And it's got this lovely sleeve ruffle, which is the detail I really like. And then you can either make a sweatshirt version with cuffs and a bottom band, or a fairly relaxed fit t-shirt version. And actually, interestingly, when I was looking on their website, they were saying actually you can make the t-shirt version also in woven fabrics. I think the neck line must be wide enough for you to get over your head without needing the stretch. You can make the sweatshirt in woven fabrics because you've got the kind of cuffs and the hemband, which come up a bit tighter and need the stretch. But I thought that was quite cool that there was a knit and a woven variation available for the t-shirt version. But they've extended their size range since the pattern version I have, and they now go from size 1 to 8. And size 1 is bust 30, waist 22, hips 32, and then up to size 8, which is bust 46.5, waist 39, hips 49. So not the most inclusive size range, unfortunately. It's a beginner pattern for knit fabrics. The only fiddly bits I'd say is firstly getting the hem to turn under with a really small narrow hem on the ruffles can be a bit fiddly to give a nice finish there. And then there's always the getting the neckband to lie flat on a jersey pattern. So yeah, those are two sort of slightly more fiddly areas, but it is a fairly straightforward pattern and it comes together nice and quickly. And I think the frill gives it a really lovely detail, that little ruffle. But I'll show you my versions. I've made both the sweatshirt and the t-shirt in a couple of different fabrics. So my first version I made is a sweatshirt version, which is here with the sleeve ruffle, as you can see. And I made it this really lovely, it's a fleece-backed sweatshirt, and it's an Atelier Brunette fleece-backed sweatshirt. It's quite a lightweight one, but it's really nice to wear in winter. I love wearing this one. So yeah, this is my first version, and I think this fabric isn't available anymore, but Atelier Brunette recently have released a couple of new sweatshirting fabrics which are really lovely, and I'll include a link down below to them if you're interested. They're really pretty too. But yeah, this is my first version, and I made the smallest size on my pattern, which I think when I had a look at the new sizing is actually the size 2 on the new pattern range. So it kind of, I think it's because it's designed to be a bit oversized. I think I might have sized down slightly. And I actually made this a little bit narrow by taking it in a bit around the waist, because I thought I didn't want this sweatshirt to be super oversized. And I'll put a picture up of me wearing it so you can see it. But yeah, it's one I really like. I think it's really nice having a sweatshirt with a pretty ruffle detail. It adds a bit of a different element to it. I went on to make one more sweatshirt version. This is quite a different colour, this pink colour, and this time it's in a French terry, so you can see the like loop back jersey type thing there. And this is a See You at 6 French terry. I really love their French terries, they're such nice quality. I don't think it's available again, but I got this from Lamazi, and I'll include a link below to their current See You at 6 French terry range. They always have really pretty and really nice quality French terries, and this is washed so well. So I made a pink version, exactly the same as the black version, the same size, and again with a little sleeve ruffle. And I'll put a picture up of me wearing this one too. I then have gone on to make a few of the t-shirt versions. I've made 2 in bamboo jersey, which is a recently discovered fabric of mine that I really love because it's so drapey and really lovely and sort of silky against the skin to wear. So I've made 2 in plain colours in bamboo jersey, again with a sleeve ruffle. One this navy colour, and I'll put a picture up of me wearing that one. And one this bright red colour, which I really love. Oh, there we are, that's it, again with a sleeve ruffle. And with these ones, I didn't make any alterations to kind of slim it in at the waist. I kept it really boxy, and I quite like that look with the bamboo jersey because it drapes quite a lot anyway. But yeah, those are my 2 t-shirt versions of the Solar sweater and tee. And then when I was looking in my drawers to get those ones out, I realised I'd made one other version as well. And this one I made in a cotton jersey, and it's a kind of a long-sleeved t-shirt version really, so it hasn't got a bottom band or cuffs like my sweatshirts have. But I made a few variations of this one. I made the ruffle a little bit smaller because I thought with all the stripes going on, if I had too big a ruffle, it might be a bit too much. So yeah, I just took about 1 centimetre off the length of the ruffle just to make it a little bit smaller. And then I made it a bit more fitted. I slimmed down the sleeves and slimmed down the body to make it more of a fitted version. And I'll put that one up too. And I really love wearing this one too, so I can't believe I've forgotten about it. But yeah, it's a really lovely pattern. I think the sleeve ruffle just makes it that little bit different from your average jersey top. So that's the Papercut pattern, Solar sweater and tee. So my next favourite sewing pattern with a ruffle is a dress pattern with a skirt ruffle. And I have a few patterns actually that are dresses with skirt ruffles. I guess it's been quite a popular thing over the last few years to add a ruffle on the skirt of a dress. So it's quite hard narrowing down to my favourite one of those. But in the end, I decided for this one here. And it is the Deer and Doe Myosotis dress. It's a really lovely pattern. It's an oversized shirt dress with a button-down bodice. It's got a band collar and darts for some shaping. And then you can either go all out with ruffles and put a ruffle on the sleeve and also a skirt ruffle on. But you don't have to add ruffles if you don't want to as well. It's got an option for no ruffles too. But yeah, it's a really lovely pattern. I know it's been a really popular one, and you can make it in a whole range of woven fabrics, chambray, rayon, cotton double gauze. It looks different in different fabrics, and I think it looks lovely in lots of different fabrics too. Unfortunately, it doesn't have the biggest size range, this pattern. The paper pattern goes from size 34 to 46, and then there are 3 more PDF sizes available on the Deer and Doe's website, and that takes it up to a size 52, which is bust 46, waist 37, hips 48. But it's still not the biggest size range. But I do understand that Deer and Doe are currently looking into an extended size range, so hopefully this will be one of the patterns that does get included in the extended size range because it's such a lovely one. But yeah, it's a really nice one to sew. It's an intermediate pattern because there are quite a few fiddly details like inserting the band collar and doing the button stand and then doing the darts. There's quite a few nice details that are a bit more fiddly. And I've made 2 versions and I'll show you those. So I made both versions of my Myosotis dress with the skirt ruffle, but I left off the sleeve ruffle and kept it a bit more simple with just the short sleeve. And I made both my versions in double gauze fabric, but quite different double gauzes, as I'll show you. So the first version here, I made in this lovely navy double gauze. It's really crinkly, and it's got, I think these are little dandelions maybe on there. They're really pretty little white flowers. And I added on little white buttons too to tie in with the dandelions to add a little bit of fun, with a little bit of pop there of the whites. So, and I made this in terms of sizing in the size 34. That actually is designed for sizes smaller than me. It has a bust for 34, it's designed for bust 31.5 inches, waist 23.5 inches and hips 33.75 inches. And as I mentioned earlier in the video, I'm bust 32, waist 26, hips 36, so a bit bigger. But when I looked at the finished garment measurements on this dress, because I know it's designed to be oversized, the finished garment measurements for the size 34 are bust 36 and 5/8. Waist 29.5 and hips 63, I guess because there's loads of gathering and room in the fabric there in the hips area. So I thought I'd size down, and I'm really happy with how it turned out because I didn't want it to be too oversized. And I made a couple of other adjustments to my version. I lengthened the bodice by about 1 inch because when I held the pattern piece up against me, it looked like it might come up a bit short, and I do have a longer bodice. And I also added in these narrow waist ties just to cinch in a little bit around the waist. So I'll put a picture up of me wearing it. I've layered it here over a black top because I guess it's a bit more of a wintry look there, and I think it works really well in winter layered up. But I also really love it in summer, just wearing it on its own without any tops underneath too. So I think it's one that works all year round really, particularly in this navy fabric. It's really comfy to wear, and I think the ruffle adds a really pretty detail on the skirt, and it does feel nice wearing it and feeling the ruffle swishing around. And I guess in the double gauze, the ruffle is has a bit more body to it, and I've seen some lovely versions in rayon where the whole thing's a bit more drapey and the ruffle's a bit more subtle, and that looks lovely too. My second version I made in a different double gauze, a slightly smoother and lighter double gauze, and this is an Atelier Brunette double gauze in, I think the colour's Amarante, and it's got these lovely little metallic dots on it, I think are really pretty, and I got Atelier Brunette buttons to match because I thought otherwise I'd have no chance in matching this really pretty kind of colour. And so this is my second version, and again I added the waist ties, had the slightly lengthened bodice and made the size 34 again, and I'll put a picture up of me wearing this one too. And I love them both. I think it's really pretty, a kind of really sort of pretty, sort of dreamy shirt dress with the ruffle. The ruffle makes it a little bit more, yeah, but adds a bit of a different aspect to it, I think. But that's the Myosotis dress by Deer & Doe, my favourite sewing pattern with a ruffle that has a gathered skirt ruffle. So my final favourite sewing pattern with a ruffle is another dress, and it's a really lovely summery one. And it's this pattern here. It is the Plum dress by Cocowawa Crafts. And it's a baby doll dress, and you can make a wintry version too with longer sleeves, but this is the ruffly version with these lovely little ruffle sleeves. It's like a drop shoulder ruffle sleeve, and it's got a button down back bodice, so really pretty detail too. And it's a lovely one, and I've made two versions of this, and I really enjoy wearing them in summer, and I love the ruffle detail. It's designed to be a beginner pattern, but it has a few nice little details to kind of up your skills, including the button down back, and also it's got a bias bound neckline, which I think is a really nice detail. And it's got a really great size range on this one too. There are two size ranges. There's a B cup range that goes from UK size 6 to size 24, and a D cup range that goes from UK size 18 to 36, so a really inclusive size range on this one. And you can make it in a whole range of light to medium weight woven fabrics, from rayon or cotton fabrics to corduroy too. And it's got two skirt lengths available too, a mini skirt length and a midi skirt length, so you can have a bit of fun mixing and matching the different features on this one. But let me show you my versions. I've made two versions of this dress, and the first one I made in this really pretty royal blue double gauze fabric. It's really lovely and crinkly, and I had a bit of fun with this one with the details. So I used some leftover fabric from another make to make the bias binding around the neckline, and also in the pockets I used the same fabric as well, so I thought they were quite pretty little details. And I also had a lot of fun choosing these buttons. The back I chose these hot pink buttons. And for my version I added waist ties just to bring it in a little bit at the waist, because it is designed to be quite an oversized dress and I wanted to be able to just pull it in a little bit. I made the smallest size in this dress, a size 6, even though my measurements came up slightly larger than size 6, because the finished garment measurements on this one do show it is designed to be quite oversized again, a bit like the Myosotis. And I really love it. I love the ruffle. I'll put a picture of me wearing it so you can see how it looks on. I really love this blue colour too. I guess you can see I love that blue colour because I made my Bakerloo dress in kind of a similar royal blue colour. So that's my first version. After I made that one last summer, I really wanted to make another version in a rayon and like a more drapey fabric version, because I thought that'd be quite fun to see the difference. And I had some fabric in my stash for a while, and I finally thought, oh, that would actually make a really lovely plum dress, and I was really pleased to have found some use for it. And it's this fabric here, which is this lovely rayon, and it has different colour flowers on in purples and yellows and whites. And again, I made the same size, the smallest size, and I added ties on, and then, I've just realised I've shown you the back, and so you can see these little buttons. I had fun adding the yellow buttons, and I used little black threads on them to kind of tie in with the black in the fabric. That's my second version, and it feels quite different to wear, and because it's rayon, it's a bit more drapey. The ruffles are a bit more subtle than on the blue version. I think as well because the fabric is quite busy, the ruffles are a bit more subtle too. But I'll put a picture up of this version too, so you can see how that one looks on too. I really love wearing that one, and it's really light and breezy and relaxed for summer. So those are my two versions of the plum dress. I always find Cocowawa Crafts instructions are really clear. They really hold your hand through the whole sewing process, and the pictures are great too. So I really recommend that one as a lovely ruffly summer dress. So those are my 5 favourite sewing patterns with ruffles, and I do love a ruffle. I love how they add a kind of pretty feminine element to a garment, and how they can make it stand out and make it just a little bit different. I think they're a really lovely feature. But I thought I'd mention one of the things I really love about sewing is how you can adapt any pattern to add a ruffle if you want to, even if the pattern doesn't include it. And I thought I'd give an example of this pattern here. And this is a pansy dress by Poppy and Jazz, which is a children's pattern. And it's a really basic little jersey dress with a gathered skirt and some sleeves and little bodice. And I've made this a few times for my daughter, and on a few versions I've added a little skirt ruffle just to make it a bit different, and because she loves swishing around with a little ruffle on her skirt. And I thought I'd put up a picture of her wearing one of her versions where I have added a ruffle on the skirt. And one time actually I made a version and somehow the sleeves ended up a little bit too short for her, and added a little ruffle on the cuffs of the sleeves too. So I love how a ruffle can also kind of cover up a sewing mishap. But yeah, there's loads of fab tutorials online on if you Google that do have information about adding your own ruffles, and they'll tell you things like how wide to make the ruffle tier, depending on how much volume you want. So whether you make it like 1.5 times the actual width of the tier above, and that sort of thing, to give a volume you want. So do check out Google for loads of different tutorials if you are thinking of adding a ruffle to a garment. I found them really helpful when I've added ruffles to garments myself. So thank you so much for watching and hearing all about my different ruffly patterns. I've really enjoyed having a look at them and going through the garments, and I do love getting them all out and wearing all those garments too. If you've enjoyed this vlog, I would love it if you give it a thumbs up, and if you haven't subscribed, I would love it if you would hit the subscribe button, and if you press the bell icon too, then you'll find out about my future vlogs when they come out, including more in this 5 favourite sewing patterns series. So thank you so much for watching. I hope you've enjoyed the vlog, and I hope you have a lovely day, and I'll see you again soon. Thanks again. Bye.